And that might well change now, because we're on to stage 14 at 240 kilometres. This, the longest stage of this year's Giro, and it is a brute of a course as well. The riders are in the Dolomites now, and they finish on top of the Val Senales. So the riders have left Trento, and they've gone right up to the snow line here. This breakaway going clear on the Passo di Penis, and containing in it number 7 at the back of the group is Alberto Volpi. But again, this early breakaway containing no riders who can offer a threat to Tony Rominger. They're gambling on a long break here, perhaps to pull back a little bit of time. Tomar Davy is also here for the Banesto team. The Banesto, without their leader, Miguel Indurain, have had a very, very quiet race indeed. No one to really work for. And this is a small group that has got clear, trying to join them. It's being led by Maurizio Fondriest. Enrico Zainer has got back to the front, our hero of a couple of days ago. And the rider in blue is the ever-consistent and, I must say, ever-improving Laurent Madouas. And this is now on the climb of the 2,100 metres pass, the pass of the Monte Giovo. It was the previous climb when the breakaway got clear of 6, and it looks as though Fondriest is determined enough now to try and get up to those 6 leaders. So a stage win under his belt, Maurizio Fondriest, but he's dropped far and away from the overall challenge of a high GC finish here. Again, yesterday he lost 8 minutes on the leaders, but it seems he wants to do something today. This is Zainer, and this is the lead group here. And number 104 at the front there is Hernan Buenajora, very, very consistent Colombian rider on the Kelme team. And nearly at the top now, the Passo di Monte Giovo. And the other rider from Kelme seems to go everywhere that Buenajora goes in the mountains, and that's Lordolino Cubino. Nelson Rodriguez bringing the riders up and under the banner. And they've stayed more or less together, 5 of them surviving as they go over the top, and Zainer on the back of them now as well. Just about below the snow line. So often the Giro d'Italia tangles itself up with the end of the winter snows, and as you can see there, the roads are wet as the snow continues to melt. 3 minutes 15 back to the main group, and containing Tony Rominger, Ugrimov, Berzin, and 1 or 2 riders not being content with just newspapers for the rather chilly descent. I noticed 1 or 2 wearing their overcoats. As they now make their way back down the mountain shortly, and then they head on towards the finish at Val Senales. Well, I think this is a very wise way to race the stage here. 240 kilometres, a long way, of course, in the mountains, and Rominger is allowing his rivals, if they want, to attack him. He has never put a foot wrong so far. His team also have worked extremely well to keep him right in a position from which to launch any possible required counter-attack. And talking of counter-attacks now, here's our little group together, and that's Zainer now joining the leaders. This is Laurent Madouas and Fondriest. They're still in between, the group now being headed again by Mappé. A little bit lower down, and the sun is out. You can see from the shadows of the riders. And there is the small group coming up. A small gap too, 11 seconds to these 2 chasers. They're going to be on very, very shortly now. There's been no sign of worry here though from the Mappé. Oh, and I think my shoulders might ache just a little bit after a course like this today. And that is Arsenio Gonzalez just stretching his shoulder muscles there. He knows there's a lot of work still to come. The gap though is not significant, 2 minutes 15 seconds. We still have the long climb up to the finish, and I'm quite sure it's not quite the Alpe d'Huez of the Giro d'Italia, but it is a hard climb, and I would think that Tony Rominger is going to wait until then. These riders in the lead are certainly not out of reach at the moment, because there's 30 miles rather, more or less, still to go to the finish. 45 kilometres. Well, not only has this been the longest stage of the race today of 240 kilometres, but the majority of it has been into a very strong headwind, and that's not a smile on the face of Laurent Madouas, it is in fact a grimace. Rider going through here and just keeping the tempo steady. Menegotto from the ZG team. Little Nelson Rodriguez. And I don't think that Madouas is going to get too much shelter on his wheel. Well, it's been a long and bitter chase. All of the gaps are coming down, but Fondriest is nearly on, and he's bringing with him Alberto Volpi. Volpi is coming back from that lead group, in fact, and there they are. And this indeed is the chase behind. So it looks as though on the final climb, as we head up towards the top of Val Senales, that the whole field could come together here, and that would put Tony Rominger back in with a possibility of yet another stage victory. Frattini again trying to play an active part in this year's Giro, carrying all the confidence of a man who's won a World Cup Classic this year. But the way he was riding there, it was more for his Gay Whiz partners, Berzin and Ugrimov. Reformation at the front, Rodriguez, Buenahora, Zaina, Madouas, they're the riders up front. The face of Tony Rominger looking a little bit concerned, but he needn't. The gap is still down, 20 seconds to the chase group, 1:22 between Rominger and the very front group, but just over a minute to the handful of riders in front. And a minute on a climb of this stature is not very much. And it looks as though Cubino is having a bit of trouble. That was Cubino passing through. This is Madouas. Buenahora is the other rider in Kelme colours, 104. And Maurizio Fondriest has given up. He's allowing the group to come to him. Volpi too. Although Volpi won't be too worried about this. He's a great climber, Volpi. He's had a couple of very good seconds in the Alps in the Tour de France. And John Unzaga leading the race for Mapei at the moment. Now, Cameron Madouas, who always tries in the mountains, can he just do something today and take out the win? Little Rodriguez, who was in at the Kill a couple of days ago, and now is there again, seemingly, as Enrico Zaina, another man that's featured well, also trying again for Carrera. Looking at Zaina there, wouldn't it have been nice to have seen Marco Pantani in the thick of the action? The rider unable to start this Giro because of an accident involving an autocar just before the race began. So we wish him well and hope he gets back to form for the Tour de France. Well, it's hardly the big Grand Peloton of the Giro d'Italia, but it does contain all of the rivals down there, and they're coming in slowly but surely, and surprisingly, Rodriguez here is slipping away, leaving just a couple of men up front. Well, Zaina is one of them. Madouas has gone from our view, so the other one must be Buenahora. And there he is. So the Colombian climber and Enrico Zaina, who is having a really very, very good season indeed, that man. He's really matured this year. He was 5th in the Grand Prix of Frankfurt. And now he's in with a chance of a stage win here again. Making all of the running. Buenahora follows him, but the group is coming up behind at a relentless rhythm. There they are. Tony Rominger in pink, always on his shoulder. Last year's winner of the Giro, Evgeny Berzin, they've got them. So the last of the breakaways are back in this very select front group now. There's still plenty of time on the climb, and another attack immediately. Buenahora is caught. This looks like Gonzalez is going. Another Kelme rider. He's leaving himself something like 18, 19 kilometres to the top of this mountain, because it is, believe it or not, a 23-kilometre climb. And he's got the little gap, and I don't think there'll be too many riders ready to take up the chase immediately after a long effort to bring back the rest of that breakaway. 9 kilometres to go now, and the legs are beginning to ache and the shoulders are beginning to roll. Well, this is Chepi Gonzalez from the Kelme team, and to me he's lost an awful lot of his rhythm in these last couple of kilometres. It's still a long way. The gap counting on the top of the picture there, and it's just round about half a minute. No change in this group composition at all. Still all of the men who matter are here. Rominger, Ugrimov, Berzin, Casagrande, Kipucci. They're the top 5 overall in this year's Giro d'Italia, and they're still locked together, riding the mountain in the same bunch. Everybody tempting to see just how strong Rominger is, if they need reminding, because he is so obviously strong this year. He has come here with tremendous form. Continuing his climb, Oliverio Rincón riding on his wheel in the yellow jersey of the Once team, and he's in a bit of a Gay Whiz sandwich at the moment, with Evgeny Berzin at the back and Pyotr Ugrimov at the front. They're still trying to bring back the cheeky attack by Gonzalez. The flotilla of motorcycles ahead indicating that they're not very far away from him either. But this is a group which is getting clear from the rest of the field now. Once again, the top men are projecting themselves. Francisco Casagrande seemingly having a little bit of difficulty following the big wheels in the mountains. And there is the rider who broke away, Gonzalez, and he's now being brought back to heel. A good look over his shoulder, and he sees the Maglia Rosa of Tony Rominger, again at the head of the race where the leader should always be. And Rincón has gone. Rincón has done the classic move, just in fact as Gonzalez did. Rincón has waited for the capture and jumped clear. He's absolutely flown away from this gap. And don't forget, he was second yesterday. He was annoyed about that because he was hoping to celebrate the birth of his new child, which is now 3 days old, by the way. And he's now trying to put amends and get the victory today. Berzin looking across, in fact looking over the shoulder of Rominger, because Berzin anxious to put time 2 into Casagrande and Chiappucci. So too Ugrimov. Ugrimov and Berzin locked together, fighting at the moment for second place overall in this year's race. And Rominger need do nothing but follow these wheels. These are the men who have to attack him, who have to get the time. He has the time. He leads Ugrimov at the moment by a lot more than 3 minutes. 3 minutes and 8 seconds, in fact. 3:16 over Berzin and 3 minutes 20 over Casagrande. Chiappucci, who is 5th overall, is over 5 minutes behind. And Zainer, who has ridden again so well today and is currently in 6th place overall, well, he's 6 minutes and 24 seconds down. But you've got to hand it to the two boys from Gay Wiz. They are pushing the pace at every opportunity. They haven't conceded this year's race at all yet. And this is Casagrande here. He's trying to ride himself back into the race. He's lost a little bit of time, but he may well get back before the top. It's a long climb and things happen to the body on long climbs. 1 minute you're going well, the next minute you can feel very, very rough indeed. Well, so far, Tony Rominger hasn't felt rough at all. 3 stage wins, 2 in the time trial, and a mountaintop finish as well. Well, sort of mountaintop, hilltop really. But this is certainly a mountaintop finish. And Oliverio Rincón has flown. He's gaining time too, and if he gains good time, he could be a man that will cause concerns, especially to the two riders in blue. Rincón started the day in 11th place, 7 minutes and 56 seconds behind the leader. But don't forget, he's only 4 minutes behind the two riders in the blue jerseys, and that is why they're being forced now to set the pace in the chase. Rominger knows it, and that's why he's using them. And in fact, it looks to me as though they've got Berzin in a little bit of trouble here now. Evgeny Berzin could be conceding a little bit of time to his teammate Ugrimov. He will not be happy with that. Ugrimov has openly said rather unkind things about Berzin, like he is not a man you would want to know. Well, perhaps that's why he's leaving him. So Ugrimov now trying to work with Tony Rominger, and legally he can do it. If Berzin can't keep up, then drop him, and they're getting closer and closer to Oliverio Rincón. And this again is a tremendous show of strength now, because Rominger is working with Ugrimov and Rincón is far from safe. In fact, I think they're going to come up right behind the Colombian. By the end of the next kilometre or so, they're going to have him. And Ugrimov is sensing it, because look at the rhythm he's got there, and Berzin somehow has found the strength to come back. Now the hill did level a little bit, and in fact Berzin has taken full advantage of that. And this is the chase behind with Claudio Chiappucci. Heinz Imbuden is the rider in the red jersey. And the other rider who is also in on the move there, I think, was Casagrande. And these are the three riders now at 5 kilometres to go, chasing the leader, Oliverio Rincón. You can just see him in the distance. And the group behind them, the man in the middle isn't in fact Casagrande, it is Georg Tochnig, the Austrian rider on the Polti squad. So Casagrande, probably the man among the leaders who's in the most trouble today, because the top 3 riders are right here and still marking one another. And I think they're all rivals, even though 2 are on the same team. Berzin setting the pace, Ugrimov matching him wheel for wheel, Rominger again content to follow, and why shouldn't he? Well, it looks as though Rincón has survived here. He was going to be caught, I thought, but he started to ride away again now, because the hill has started once more to go up. And there's probably the most respected manager in the world of professional cycling, Manolo Saez. who's now shouting at Rincón and telling him you can win this and make up for the second place yesterday. The arrival here of the other three, Kierpucci, Imbuden on the right and Georg Tocznik. So now we have 6 riders chasing here now. Ugrimov checking out who just came up, and the first man he saw was Claudio. So the devil is here as well. Heinz Imbuden, former champion of Switzerland, goes straight to the front. They're all gathering their strength behind this rider who's looking very, very tired. And this is the hapless Casagrande, who is losing time today. Let's hope he doesn't lose too much. He started the stage 4th overall. Don't forget, he's been as high as 2nd. And now he's having to survive, without doubt, his most difficult day of this year's Tour. Also the longest too, don't forget, 240 kilometres. And nobody willing to set the pace that might finish off the lead of Rincón. And Rincón heading up towards the finish. He's about 900 metres from the line. And this is the chase group. This is Georg Tocznik who's gone clear here. So Tocznik has got clear. He slipped them somewhere. He's gone under the banner. The other 5 are right there, but they're not going to stop it. Rincón has now got his victory. Oliverio Rincón, the 27-year-old Colombian rider, gets the most memorable stage of the race, the longest indeed. He gets the victory. 7.5 hours in the saddle today. Tocznik continues to show us what a great rider for the future he really is. Despite that crash a few days ago, he's now going to take 2nd place as the sprint starts behind. It's Rominger who starts the sprint. So Tocznik gets 2nd place. He'll be just over a minute behind. Rominger coming clear, claiming a few seconds as well in the sprint. Ugrimov tries to limit them, but he's hanging on. He's still going to lose 1 or 2, and every second counts. Rominger has stolen the march again. And the man missing is Berzin, because this is Claudio, Kierpucci and Berzin with him. So Claudio, Kierpucci, Berzin, Imbuden in that order over the line. And they lost a few more seconds to Rominger. This rider, though, Rincón, has now moved himself up into the top 6 places overall. All smiles for Oliverio Rincón. In the Once team have a good stage victory there, and here's another view of it as well. It's not too often we see Rincón win a stage, but when he does it in fine style, and it's always up a mountain. And our 2 Senorinas feeling the chill air on top of the mountain today as they welcome the stage winner, Oliverio Rincón. And there's the result. 1:18 was the final gap over Tocznik. Rominger, though, gaining time yet again over Ugrimov and Berzin. And there it all confirms. Ugrimov now 3:14 back. Berzin 3:29. Casagrande